Welcome to episode 1 of the Cresthaven Podcast. I'm your host, Porches. And this is a podcast I wanted to do, just talk about everything. We're going to talk about just anything. As you see, I don't have no fancy setup. I ain't in no fucking big studio, no shit like that. This just is going to be as authentic and as raw as possible. And I've been thinking about doing this podcast for, I don't know how long, bruh. I've been thinking about doing a podcast for months, probably years. And I've had, on this channel, I've had podcasts before. I had the AGM Boys podcast. We had like 20 something, 25 episodes, something like that. It ran its course and we all moved on. But the goal was to always come back here and to keep making content. So let's just get right into it. Today's going to be a real personal podcast. And we're just going to go over the whole origins of me and like where I'm at in life right now. And hopefully, my story can help. I don't know, maybe some people can watch this shit and resonate it and be like, yeah, man, I'm going through the same thing and I'm feeling this type of way. So I saw a creator on TikTok. He made a video saying how whoopings made him, he felt like whoopings really made him an angry individual, and like that has translated to who he is today. Like he still has like that built-in anger, and that came from getting beatings as a kid. And I just resonated so much with that because, growing up, I got whoopings. I didn't get a bunch of whoopings, but I definitely got my ass whooped. And that definitely helped shape and mold like my personality today. Like growing up, I used to be a very, very, very angry little boy. I was a very angry little boy. Like that shit. I remember when I used to get beat, right? When I used to get whoopings and shit, bro. Mainly when I would get beat by my dad, bro. The thoughts that used to run through my head when I was getting whoopings or like after I get whooped and shit, bro, it was I used to have some of the most violent fucking thoughts, bro. Some of the most violent thoughts. Like when my dad would be whooping my ass, I used to be like, man, I want to kill this nigga. I'm really going to murder this nigga for whooping my ass like this. Like those was the thoughts that I had as a young boy, bro. And it really just helped shape and mold like my entire life. Like when I would go to school and I would just have interactions with people, like I would say that definitely helped me not ever get bullied. Like I never got bullied growing up as a kid because like I don't know, I think it was because of the beatings at home. Like I was like, I'm not gonna get my ass whooped at home and then come home and then go to school and get my ass whooped. Like I've always been that type of person. Like you're not gonna punk me, you're not gonna play with me. Like I never liked confrontation. But a lot of people will probably describe me as a confrontational person. I don't like confrontation, but I just don't run from it. Like when confrontation comes knocking on my door, I open and I let them in. Because in my head, I'm like, I'd rather just deal with the confrontation. I'm not going to run from it. I'm not scared. I'm not going to run from it. And I'm just going to address it head on because I got other shit I want to do throughout my day. So if I got to whoop a nigga ass or get my ass whooped, let's go ahead and do this shit. Let's get it over with so I can go on about my day. I've never been scared of another man. I've never backed down from a fight. And I feel like in a ways that has been beneficial because when people know you not scared, when people know you down to fight, when people know you willing to take it there to another level, it literally prevents so many other incidents and scenarios. When people know that you're not willing to fight, when people know you will back down and you will run away, they're gonna try you all the fucking time because they don't respect you. But when they know, oh yeah, this nigga's not playing these games. He's not playing these games with y'all. They not going to come out there and do that to you. So in a way that was beneficial. So I didn't get bullied during school, but I definitely got bullied at home. The only bully I ever had in my life was my father. I was terrified of that nigga. I was terrified of him growing up. Like I hated him so bad. I would hate how he used to talk to me. I hated how he treated me. I hated that I had to live with him. I hated the man he was. I hated literally everything about him. And that translated into me not having any male role models in my life. People sometimes they will ask me like, "Oh, who did you look up to growing up? Like, who did you like want to take after from?" And I always tell them I didn't look up to anybody growing up. Like the main figure that I would have supposed to look up to as a young man, which is my father, I didn't want to be anything like him. Like there was nothing that he had that I wanted. You know what I'm saying? I didn't like how, he would have a bunch of women and bringing them in and out the house. I didn't like how he was irresponsible with the bills. I didn't like how he was just this super angry, intense, and mean person to his loved ones. I didn't like how he talked to other people. I didn't like how he carried himself. I didn't like anything that my dad represented as a man, and I always wanted to be the opposite of him. So I didn't have any male figures growing up that I could look up to say, oh yeah, that's the nigga I wanted to be. The only thing I could think of was just like, I know the type of man I want to be, and I'm just going to try to mold my life in that path. I did learn things from my dad, but it wasn't from like him teaching me. It was me watching him fail or me watching how he carry himself and be like, yeah, I know that's not the thing to do, so I'm not going to do it. And that's a hard life to live. Now I know some people have it harder. Some people don't have any they don't have a father in their life at all, and that's hard to navigate. So I had a father in my life who financially took care of me and stuff, but I didn't have a father in my life in terms of like learning life lessons and learning right from wrong. This is what I need to do. And I think a lot of people will see this, they're going to see this podcast and they're going to see me talking down and talking very negatively of my parents. And White 100 got a quote, and this shit is real. It's fucked up, but it's real. But the truth can never be taken as disrespect. If I'm coming on my platform and I'm telling y'all the absolute truth of what I experienced or what I seen, it's not meant to disrespect. I'm just coming out here and I'm telling you straight up how it is. And it is hard to come on the internet and say, yeah, I have bad parents. Like, that's hard to come on the internet and say, because it is embarrassing. But like, I know I'm not the only one who feels like they got bad parents. And man, just growing up, I was a very angry boy. And I didn't stand up to my father until my senior year when I was 17. And, by the time I was 17, man, 17 years of a nigga talking to you crazy and putting you down and saying these things to make you feel like you ain't shit, man. That shit really boils up. And to be honest with you, I felt like a bitch. I mean, I'm like, nobody else plays with me. Nobody else talks to me crazy. And I just like turn the other cheek. Like, nah, people don't do this in real life. So it's like, I understand you my dad, but why the fuck would I let you talk to me like this? And it was just one day, man. We just had this big ass argument. And I finally stood up to the nigga. We came to blows. We didn't come to physical blows, but we came to blows with words. And I moved out. And that, I remember that being one of the best like moments, like days in my life. I know, as fucked up as it sounds, it was like, damn, I finally stood up to the only bully in my life, which was my father. I finally stood up to the nigga, and it was like, what was going through my head was, fuck it, man. If I get my ass whooped, I get my ass whooped. But moving forward, we're not about to keep fucking doing this shit for the rest of my life to where you think you can just talk to me any kind of fucking way and I'm just going to accept it and I'm just going to bow. Man, fuck that. At the end of the day, I know I'm 17, but I'm about to be a fucking man. And I'm not about to let you nor anybody else feel like they can treat me or talk to me any kind of fucking way. So standing up to him was literally one of the biggest milestones I ever had in my life. And once I got over that hurdle, I was like, man, fuck that shit. Can't nobody say shit to me, bruh. You can't intimidate me, because if I can stand up to him and show him I'm not backing down, nobody can say shit to me. Nobody. And moving forward, it really was like I was already on that type of time, but moving forward, I was like, I'm really on that type of time now. Like, nobody can, and it wasn't about being tough, because I don't come from the streets. I'm not a street nigga. I'm just a man at the end of the day, and you have to treat me with a level of respect because I'm gonna treat you with a level of respect, you know. And you know, I didn't realize like all of these things was leading up to me becoming an insecure man. Like, I didn't truly realize how fucked up I was as a person and how insecure and flawed I was until I got into therapy last year, when I was 25, about to be 26. And with therapy is a motherfucker because it literally exposes you to all of your traumas and your insecurities and your flaws that you just been living with your whole life, but you never really knew, or you can never really reach and identify like, oh, this is a problem, or this is where this comes from. And once you learn about it, that shit really will fuck your brain up because you just realize how flawed you are. And I realized that angry little boy that was getting his ass whooped, talked crazy to, not really ever allowed to be himself. That all of that translated into a hurt, insecure man that now I'm trying to I've been rebuilding for the past year and a half. And once you become, aware of those things, it really fucks up your relationship that you have with the people who played a big influence on that. Like with my dad, my dad apologized a couple years ago about all the things, about our relationships and how he played a part in fracturing it. And, he apologized a couple years ago, and I accepted it and I forgave him. But a part of me can't 100% ever forgive him because I feel like he played a big portion in robbing me of a good childhood. Sometimes I wonder, like, damn, if I didn't have a dad at all, would I have been more of a stable and structured human being? Because what's the purpose of having a father in your life if they're not going to be a good father? And I don't think my dad's a good dad. I don't think he's a good dad. Do I think he tried his best? Yes. But sometimes your best just not good enough. Your best just isn't good. It's nowhere near where it needs to be. And some people just don't need to have kids. If you suffering from a lot of shit and you going through problems, having a child is not just that's just not the decision you need to make. So I have a lot of like anger and resentment coming from, my father. And then my mom, I also don't have a good mom. So it's like a double whammy, the trauma I got from my mom, as much as fucked up, as all the trauma I got from my dad. The trauma I got from my mom was a lot deeper than what I got from my dad, which I would have never guessed growing up because I hated my fucking dad. I hated that nigga. But becoming a man and you just realize how important your mom is in your life. And me and my mom, we had this weird relationship in which, I never had the typical mom where, she will love on you all the time and give you the love and nurture that you need. It was always like conditional love. My mom didn't have unconditional love for me. It was always with conditions, like me chasing after that love, trying to get validation from her and get that love. And I just never got it. And then actually when I did get that conditional love, it was because I was doing something to appease her or I was in her good graces. But if she was mad at me or if she was upset at me, she would take that love back. Or she doesn't love me anymore. She doesn't care about me anymore, or and it was a her way or the highway type thing. So that leads into this insecure, angry little boy trying to go and chase that validation and that love from a mom in the dating world from other women. And that shit is where it gets dangerous because not receiving that love from your mom and trying to find that in your partner, that's always going to be a recipe for disaster. So I was always just like, damn, I hope I can find me a girl and she just loved me and she cared for me and I'm her whole world and shit. All because I'm chasing this love from a woman that I never got from my mom. You understand what I'm saying? And that can be volatile. So when I'm getting in relationships, the relationship is my whole life. Like I don't care about, career goals. Well, I do care about career goals, but like that shit gets taken on the back burner. My friends get taken on the back burner. Hobbies get taken on the back burner. The most important thing to me when I would be in these relationships is the person that I'm with. And you realize like that shit is not fucking healthy. Like that's not how you cultivate a healthy relationship. You understand what I'm saying, guys? And when you're trying to ultimately that shit is gonna lead to failure. That shit is just gonna lead to failure. When you're going into a relationship, you shouldn't be going into a relationship needing these things from somebody. Like, I need you to be my entire world and be all of those things for me. That's not how you cultivate a healthy relationship. And that's what I was seeing. And when these relationships would end, I would be fucking devastated because I implemented my whole identity and well-being and happiness into how good my relationship was going. And you can't do that. You have to be your own individual. You have to have your own identity when you're going into a relationship. First of all, you also have to know that no person can make you happy. There's nobody on the planet that can make you happy. I don't care what they do for you. They can contribute to your overall happiness and you can contribute to theirs, but ultimately they can't make you happy. You have to find that within yourself. You have to know who the fuck you are and be comfortable in that. And if you can't be comfortable in that, you don't need to be in a committed relationship, because once that person breaks up with you, you no longer have an identity. And that's where I was once, my long-term relationship ended. I didn't know who the fuck I was. I was heartbroken because first of all, this person had left me and she was my everything. I literally made her my entire world. So when she broke up with me, she took that entire world with her. So not only am I mourning the loss of, my partner, I'm also mourning the loss of me. And the loss of you is the true heartbreak. I was definitely say I was naive into a lot of things. And it's like once you lose that part of yourself, you can never get it back. And that shit will really fuck you up because it's like, damn, before this relationship happened, I had all this, and this, these things that I loved about myself. And now you scarred and you can't never get back to that person because that person is gone. They took that person with them. And a lot of that ties back to, my relationship with my mom. So because I was seeking that validation and that love from her, I could never try to get that validation from the women in my life that was romantic interest. And you see how such a dangerous, slippery slope that is. And once you come to that realization, like you kind of like have you in a fork in the road. Okay, I can either keep doing this same thing that's leading me to pain and hurt, but it's familiar and it's comfortable, or I can go on this road, and this road is scary too because it's the unknown, and I'm gonna have to address and tackle all of these things that hurt me. And so you have to just, and I decided to take this road. And in deciding to take that road, I came to grips with cutting off my mom, which was the most significant relationship I ever had in my life. It's made it a lot easier for me to walk away from relationships. And that is both a good thing and can be a bad thing. Because, like, when things go wrong, or I feel like, I'm either being disrespected or the relationship isn't worth pursuing, and that can be romantic or it could be friendship, it's easy for me to be like, fuck it, we don't align, I'm gonna get the fuck up out of here. And I've been doing that since I cut off my mom. And I think it's been healthy in certain instances, because certain relationships you should maintain, you should cut off. But it's also made me unwilling to, ride certain storms or give people the benefit of the doubt, because, once you get scarred, deeply scarred by something, it makes you not ever want to go through that again. So you start predicting futures like, oh, I can see this is gonna end badly. This motherfucker, I feel like they ain't shit and they don't have my best interest in heart. So before we even get to that point, I'm out. I'm gone. Like I'm doing the fucking dash. And that's because, like, you just don't feel safe with that person. And a lot of that shit is trauma. So I'm trying to repair that and build that out to, like, where I don't just run away from shit when things get hard, or I'm scared that somebody gonna fucking hurt me. That's where I'm trying to become, a better person. And I've just been yapping, man, but that's what this is all about. I want this podcast to be about, healing. And we're gonna talk about a lot of different things. We're gonna talk about current events, topics. Y'all niggas know I love hip hop. We're gonna talk about sports. We're gonna talk about multiple things. But I just wanted this first episode to just talk about, trauma and coming up in the world and how we can. But I don't think this podcast is gonna be that entertaining. At least this first episode, I'm really just trying to get my feet wet. But y'all just let me know what y'all think about it. And leave your thoughts, comments down below. We will be consistent with this podcast. I want to drop one probably every Sunday or Monday, once a week, on this fucking Porches channel. The rebrand. Follow me on TikTok. Okay, my TikTok will be in the description. Road to fucking 20K.